When is the best time for you to buy? Is it now? Is it when interest rates drop? Is it when the economy improves? Is it when the economy gets worse? So maybe you think there's less competition. There's a lot of factors that affect housing prices, and apart from housing prices, how much you're going to pay on your mortgage. There's a lot that goes into that. And ultimately, you, no one else, but you are the best determiner of when the time is right. In many cases, it's need driven, right? We're moving to another market. We need to get a house. We've got kids. We don't want to find an apartment. We don't want to deal with a rent house. We need to buy a house. Well, I mean, there's your answer. The time is now. For those that have the luxury of deciding when the time is right, maybe you're wanting to upgrade, maybe you're wanting to just move to a slightly better location or a neighborhood you've been eyeing, or maybe you're empty nesters and downsizing. In all these scenarios, typically time is on your side. You don't have to buy right now. So these buyers often wait for the right time. And what that means is often different for different buyers. But ultimately is up to you, not a realtor, not a lender, not your mom or dad or a friend or what the Dallas Morning News says or what cable news says. It is up to you to determine when the time is right. And again, there's a lot of factors involved. Like I mentioned, there's interest rates. Where are interest rates going right now? I'll let you in on a little secret. No one has a crystal ball. A lot of us, myself included, a lot of lenders and economists that I converse with on a daily basis, they have opinions, very educated opinions on what they think may happen, but guess what? Every single one of them was wrong this time last year. Every single one of them, last winter and spring, were saying that interest rates were going to drop last year. Guess what? They went up another 1.5%. So no one's perfect. No one actually knows what the future will bring. A month, let alone a year or 6 months from now. So ultimately, rather than put your trust in the biggest financial decision of your life in someone else's hands, even if they're very well educated and connected in the industry, it is best to gather as much information as you can and make your own determination. Because when you sign on the dotted line, when you're closing on that house, you want to make sure that you have the peace of mind, that you feel confident that you're making the right decision. So let me back up for a moment and give you a real world scenario of a client that I had and how the relationship progressed. This client was referred to me by a client that I'd worked on several transactions with. And this client was renting with his wife. They were newlyweds in South Lake, and they were looking to purchase a house somewhere in the mid-cities within 20 minutes of South Lake. Now, they had the funds, and very quickly, let me back up and state when this was. This was the summer of 2020. So here in North Texas, this is the summer of the pandemic, but real estate was still happening, right? So at the beginning of the pandemic in the spring, nobody was buying or selling, of course, due to fear of the pandemic. But as summer rolled around, very quickly, things ramped up. 1 week in June, nobody was buying. The next week in June, everything was going for multiple offers and over list. So it was right at that ramp up that these buyers were looking to buy their first home. And we had multiple meetings where I was educating them on the process. We saw several homes where I'm educating them on what to look out, what to be cautious of, what are some of the pros and cons of one house versus another. We've got them connected with lenders, they're pre-approved, and we were able to get a contract accepted at barely over list that time, which was a miracle because most of the houses at their price point, which was entry level, were going for 20, 40, 50, 100 grand in some cases over list. So we were able to get them under contract at 11 grand over list, which in my opinion at that time was great. And the wife was all on board. She loved the house and really couldn't wait to have their first home. The husband, he was an engineer. He was much more numbers based, and he at the time felt a little put off by the fact that they had to be so aggressive in his mind on the offer. And at this time we'd seen over a dozen homes, and we had put in other offers, but we've gotten bid out. This one being accepted, his mind immediately went to, I overpaid and there's probably something wrong with the house. So we didn't even get to inspection. He ultimately decided to terminate. And the decision was made for them to rent for another year and to revisit the year after that. So when the time come, now we're in the summer, actually spring, because I reached out to them before their lease was up. We're now in the spring of 2021, where things are even more crazy, right? The summer of 21 was the most aggressive, competitive season in real estate on record, to my knowledge, in terms of the number of offers versus contracts closed, and the amount of contract price versus the list price. It was insane. And again, his concern was that they would overpay for something. Now at this point, keep in mind that prices were a full 25% over where they were the year prior. And interest rates at this point had started increasing as well. Now, I did my best. Again, no one has a crystal ball, but based on me working in the market day in and day out, and lenders and everything like that, I'm helping him, helping transfer as much information as I can from him, as is the lender he was working with. And we were trying to communicate that, hey, it's only going to get worse. Prices are going to increase and interest rates are going to increase. So it would be better to buy sooner rather than later. And I will quote directly from him, "These sound like scare tactics, my man. I am not about that. So I am going to continue to rent for the foreseeable future." And that was his determination. Since then, I've contacted him a couple times, and he seems happy with the decision that he made. And while I may not agree with it, that's not the point. The point in my goal as an agent is to educate and facilitate the best transaction possible for every client of mine. Whether they're looking to buy, sell, or rent, I just want them to be happy at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, he felt like we were trying to push him towards buying, which was not my intent. I just wanted him to be successful if he determined that he wanted to buy. He decided that they wanted to remain as renters and preferred that lifestyle over purchasing. And that's fine, you know? And I'm happy that he's happy. And that, I think, is sort of like a good case study for the answer to this question. When is the right time to buy? When you feel ready, when you feel it's the best time to buy, even if that means not buying.